Immigration is a top issue for American voters in the coming election after border crossings hit record levels last year. While apprehensions have dropped significantly, the Biden-Harris administration has been criticized for not doing enough to stem the flow sooner. Donald Trump has promised mass deportations if re-elected and has stoked fears of a migrant-fueled crime wave. As Toni Waterman explains from the Texas-Mexico border, many still believe that claim, even if facts don't back it up.
It is the latest example of the deadly consequences of an unchecked open border.
It was a horror story that captivated America. 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary tied up, raped, and strangled after walking to a Houston convenience store to buy a soda one night last June. Her body was found in a creek the next morning, just steps from her house.
And now to major developments today in the murder of 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary, who's...
Two Venezuelan migrants in the country illegally have been charged in her murder.
She had a personality like no other.
At a congressional hearing last month, Jocelyn's mother blamed what she called the Biden administration's open border policy for her daughter's death.
They are nothing but monsters who are predators, and those are the kind of individuals that we so openly let in this country.
Border crossings hit a record high of nearly 250,000 last December. The numbers have since fallen dramatically, down 75%, partly due to Biden administration policies making it harder for asylum seekers to enter the U.S. and easier for border officials to deport them. But Jocelyn's murder and others like it have intensified the immigration debate ahead of the November elections.
Crime in this country is through the roof, and we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime.
Data doesn't back up either of those claims. The FBI says violent crime has dropped across the U.S., while extensive research shows migrants, legal and illegal, commit fewer crimes than native-born Americans.
In sociology, it's an idea called minority threat. Whenever there's a threat to something or people think something's going to be taken away, they vilify that group. And it's unfortunate that that happens because the data just do not support any kind of statement that immigrants bring crime and murder to this country.
Still, the message appears to be resonating. A report by the Pew Research Center earlier this year found that the majority of Americans believe the large number of migrants entering the country leads to more crime.
You probably think that this razor wire fence separates Texas from Mexico, but it doesn't. It separates Texas from New Mexico, the first barrier to be constructed between two U.S. states. It started going up last year, but in recent weeks, it's become taller and longer, keeping both undocumented migrants and U.S. citizens alike from crossing state lines.
Texas officials say the fence will keep what they describe as dangerous illegal migrants in New Mexico from walking into Texas. A federal solution had been put forward earlier this year, a bipartisan border security bill that would have provided funding for 1,500 new Border Patrol agents, cutting-edge inspection machines to detect fentanyl smuggling, and more than $1 billion to support cities on the front lines of the migration crisis. The bill was ultimately blocked by Republicans at the request, Democrats claim, of Donald Trump.
What state in Mexico?
A 4-hour drive away from the border in Hobbs, New Mexico, the anti-immigration rhetoric has residents on edge.
Se están enfocando con los inmigrantes, con nosotros, cuando los crímenes violentos y todo han ocurrido y de todas las razas. Que nosotros, la policía, somos target para la policía, los hispanos y los de color.
They worry false claims of migrant-fueled crime will justify stricter immigration laws in the future. But they also recognize the delicate balance between the rights of migrants and the rights of Americans.
Do you feel like you have a right to be here in the United States?
Sí tenemos los derechos de venir, de emigrar, el derecho de emigrar. Pero también entendemos que los estadounidenses tienen el derecho de oponerse a que nosotros estemos aquí. Pero sabemos que Estados Unidos es un país con libertad
a freedom that drives so many of them to uproot their lives and their homelands to seek out a better future in America, regardless of the politics at play. Toni Waterman, CNA, El Paso, Texas.